individual?
All right. Well, you know, I had a rough life growing up. I was introduced to drugs, heroin, and cocaine when I was 17 years old, and I was involved with bad people and dirty cops. So they created a joint task force, Suffolk County Police Department, a heroin task force, and you know the cops in Suffolk County were they were allowing certain drug dealers to sell drugs. You know, they would plant drugs on other drug dealers to kill the competition. They would commit crimes themselves and blame it on MS-13 or Bloods. They would create wars inside the street, on the streets between Bloods and the MS-13. I happened to be involved with these cops that were part of the task force, and they put an associate of mine in prison for 25 years, and they did that by coercing witnesses to manipulate the outcome and the plea of murder. Got charged with murder, and he's still doing 25 years right now. And there was a lot of discrepancies in his case, and he's fighting to get home right now. They've been messing with me, since I was 16, 17. They planted drugs on me before. They've assaulted me plenty of times. The police officer detectives. I knew people. I just knew a lot of people. I knew a lot of people that were I knew some informants that were working with these detectives and doing a lot of dirt with them. These cops were committing crimes. They were raiding stash spots, trap houses. They had it out for me since I was 17. They falsified documents on me. They jailed me for I did a year at one time for something I didn't do. They forged statements on me. So I had it out with them since I was 17. So fast forward, that was 2004. Fast forward 2012. One of the police officers that was on my, involved in my case was, he was dirty, and I broke into his truck at his house, and I took a duffel bag, and that duffel bag led to a whole can of worms being unleashed on Suffolk County. I did 4.5 years for something I didn't do, for a crime I didn't commit. I proved my innocence after 5 years, so I already did the time for 4.5 years, and I filed what we call a 440 motion to exonerate. The FBI got involved. They investigated claims. I was assaulted at the precinct for 3 days. This is the 4th precinct in Suffolk County, Long Island. Then from the 4th precinct, I was transferred to the 3rd precinct in Bayshore, Long Island. And from the 3rd precinct, I was taken to court on the 3rd day. Immediately, the media wanted to talk to me. I refused to speak. No, the FBI wanted to speak to me. I refused to speak. I knew everyone was connected to each other. I didn't trust anyone. And like 8 months into my incarceration, I decided to cooperate with the federal government and to expose the corruption in Suffolk County, to take down the former police chief James Burke, and District Attorney Thomas Spoda, as well with his partner, the head of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, in the District Attorney's Office of Suffolk County, Christopher McPartland. There was many other Lieutenant Sergeant Bob, Lieutenant James Hickey, Lieutenant Michael Kelly, Kenneth Bombas, Anthony Leto, Detective Nealis, Detective Cottingham. There was many detectives involved in the conspiracy. So the police chief, they opened up, they started one investigation into my claims. The reason why the police chief did what he did and broke protocol and risked, his freedom and his career as a police chief was because he desperately needed to get the stuff back in which I stole from his truck. So the evidence that was in his truck was it was going to expose a lot of powerful people. So he needed to come and get that. So he broke protocol. He came to my house in Smithtown, New York, and we lived in the same town. And he raided my house with about 20 detectives. It was total violation of my rights. They didn't have a warrant. He just did whatever he could to get that duffel bag back and the contents of the duffel bag. So that started it was just a complete mess. And 7 months later, I decided to cooperate with the government. They opened up an investigation. They subpoenaed 22. They had 22 subpoenas to the police department. But for a year, so they took me out of state custody. They brought me to federal custody. And for a year, I met with them on 5 different occasions. And I did what they call when you cooperate, called the proffer agreement. And you said in the proffer agreement, you have to say everything that's the truth. If they find anything else out that's not truth, it'll be held against you, and your cooperation will be null and void if they find one lie. So it turned around that everything that I said was saying to them was the truth. It was corroborated by other detectives, and who eventually cooperated with the government also against the police chief and the district attorney. But it wasn't like a year later, after my last session with them, I didn't hear from them at all. So I went ahead and fought my case the best I could. So I went to trial in Suffolk County. There was no assistance from the federal government. They sold me out. So I was on my own. And the offer was 5 years, and I wouldn't take it. So I stood up in front of the judge. I told the judge that you're not going to violate my rights because and threaten me with a upgraded sentence if I decide to go ahead with my pretrial, which is my right. They're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to threaten you with more time because you want to execute your amendment and fight for your right. So I addressed that on the record to the court, and the judge allowed the offer to stay at 3.5 years if I lost that pretrial. Long story short, I had to sit there with a 3-week trial. I had to sit there the whole time and listen to all these detectives lie under oath, and they lie very good. The police chief had a memorandum sent to all of them. We met all of them at what they call the Yaphank headquarters in Suffolk County, and he told them all to get their story straight. So he had the story. The guy was smart. He had the story, all written out for all these detectives to get their story straight. But what happened was, one of the officers that were at my house, she messed up. It was, her name's Officer Ruggiero, Francine Ruggiero. She's a probation officer. So I caught her lying on the stand because I had the minutes from her proffer agreement with the feds. And I noticed that she lied to the feds. She lied at the grand jury, right? She lied. She switched her story to the FBI, and then she switched her story again at my trial. I'm like, all right, I got her. So I still didn't hear back from the FBI or the government. I wound up losing the trial. I mean, I got the motion to suppress the physical evidence was denied, and the only thing I won was the dismissal of any statements given at the precinct because they were illegally obtained. But the way they did that, they did it so they wouldn't be liable at that time. So I took the plea. I wound up doing 4.5 years. And then I didn't hear from the feds until after I came home in 2015. And as soon after I came home, I was contacted by my attorney to meet them at the federal building in Central Islip. And the case was transferred from Brooklyn Federal Court. It's still the same district. It was just a different venue. So it got switched from Brooklyn Federal Court to Central Islip. And that's when I started working with AUSA, Larry Gatz, and U.S. Postal Investigator, Bill Haskell. And they took over the case, and they said that they were going to arrest James Burke, and other officers were being arrested. So I started working with them and preparing to, testify against the police chief if needed. And my life's been a living hell since.
I believe you. Did they offer your attorney somebody who can defend you? Did you have this kind of option offered to you?
Someone to defend me? I went through 3 lawyers. So I started off with a legal aid, and then I got what they call an 18B. That's a private court-appointed lawyer. Her name was Tony Marie Angelis. She took the case, and she was fighting for me in the beginning, but then she got threatened. They sent threats at her, and she took herself off the case. So then I got put with another private attorney, Dan Barker, and that's who I went to trial with. But the feds didn't intervene. They didn't. They let me go back into prison after the whole world knew I cooperated with them. So they put me in a very vulnerable situation.
So how is your life look like at the moment? What they're doing to you?
What they're doing to me now, I mean, they're always sending informants at me. They tried to set me up for murder for hire the summer of 2018. They sent an informant my way when I was locked up, and he started working the case against me, trying to work a case against me when we were both incarcerated together. When I got out of jail, he reached out to me, and I already knew there was something wrong with this guy. I knew he was. I got word that he was working with the FBI, and he's a criminal. He's a criminal too, but he was informing for the FBI, and he contacted me when I was home. They were listening to my phone calls, the state, and I knew that. I knew they were listening. So, the FBI told me specifically that the state was listening to my phone calls, that they chimed in on the phone calls a couple times, and they saw that the state was tapping my calls. So they wanted to know everything that I knew about them. They wanted to know where certain information that I possessed, where it was. They couldn't find it. Still to this day, they can't find it. I believe that's one of the reasons why I'm not dead yet. Because if something worse to happen to me, that's my insurance policy. So, they tried, a few times to kill me. But yeah, they sent an informant at me. So they were listening to my phone calls, and they were telling this informant everything, important details between me and my ex-girlfriend, who I had suspicions of her wanting to set me up. So they fed into that. They threw fire on that by telling this informant certain details about me and her relationship, about our relationship, and they told him, I had suspicion that she was sent by the district attorney's office as another informant. I had reason to believe that. So The whole time she was working me, I was working her, trying to find out who she worked for. So this guy, this informant, he met me at my hotel in Queens, in Long Island City. This was the summer of 2018. And he told me that my ex-girlfriend wanted me, put a hit out on me for $10,000. That she wanted to murder for $10,000. He told me that, she had ties to the district attorney, Thomas Florida. He couldn't identify exactly what she was involved with, but he told me that she was involved with some serious stuff. And that she was, in fact, sent to me by the district attorney's office to try to have me killed. So this was all set up by the new district attorney, Timothy Sini. Tim Sini knows I know this. He knows I know it was him that set the hit. So these guys in Suffolk County, these district attorneys, they're gangsters. And they're becoming sloppy and arrogant because of their arrogance, because they've been allowed to get away with it for so many years. That's it's just the mentality in Suffolk County. Suffolk County is its own country. Once you cross that border from Nassau to Suffolk, you're on your own. You're in no man's land. Suffolk County thinks they're their own country, literally. And it's funny because, Suffolk County is surrounded by water. It's surrounded by the North Shore, the South Shore, the East End, and there's no county on their other side. It's just, where's the end? So it's like we have no one overlooking us from side to side. It's just one side. So, yeah, this new DA sent this informant at me. Now, when he told me that my ex wanted me dead for he was paying $10,000 to this guy's brother. Now, I know his brothers, and I know they're killers. I know them from the street. So there was significant substance to what he was saying to me. So, the bells were ringing in my head. I just gave her $10,000. We broke up, and as a parting gift, I gave her $10,000 to get her on her feet. I told her, if we ever broke up, I would make sure, you're all right. So I gave her $10,000. Now he comes along, he tells me she wants me dead for $10,000. So, what are you going to believe? What are you going to think that of a person that you think already wants you dead, set up, or dead? So I started feeding into it. I was always, skeptical. I knew this kid I knew he was no good. And immediately I thought they were working. So when he told me that, after we left the hotel room, we went downstairs to the front of the building, and he wanted to introduce me to who was supposed to be the shooter, the killer, the hitman. And they weren't too, inconspicuous about what car they came in. They came in a Chevy Impala. So I jumped into the back of the seat, and I noticed that there was a tall, athletic, built white guy with a baseball cap on. Immediately, I thought a cop, detective, and I said to the guy, I'm like, "Who is this?" He's like, "This is the shooter. This is guy." And I said, "Yo, listen, bro. I'm like, I'll see you later, man. I'll call you." I left the car and went back to the hotel. Come to find out, so now I contact my ex-girlfriend, and I'm trying to meet her face to face and look her eyes in her eyes, and I want to know if this is real. But she wouldn't meet me. She was being very cold and distant. So that made me believe that she wanted me dead even more. I'm like, oh, she really wants me dead. So I had surveillance put on, I had to check everything to see if everything was true. So I had surveillance put on her, and it turned out that, my first assumption, my first gut instinct was that they were, in fact, setting me up. So I found out that they were trying to entrap me. They were trying to get me to pay them $15,000 on top of her alleged $10,000, and that they would murder her and eliminate her as a threat. So, thank God, I never fed into it. So, but I was scared for my life. Every day I look over. Every day, I've been set up. I've been attempted. They attempted on my life for going against them. So I believe it. And still to this day, I know they want me dead, and I know they're trying to have me killed or set up and put away forever. So I had to have surveillance on her, and it came back 2 months later. She contacts me and finally meets me and tells me, "Chris, listen, I got approached by a detective. This is what she tells me word for word. She said, I got a phone call, a random call from a detective. He wanted me to meet him in an undisclosed location. She said, absolutely not. He's due at the precinct. She met him at the 6th precinct in Suffolk County, Long Island. He presented himself to her as a district attorney investigator for the DA's office that there was an open case on me and her life was in danger because I was trying to have her killed. So they came to me first, told me that she wanted me killed, and then they were playing both sides. They told her that I wanted her killed. So when she told me, that specifically, she told me that the federal prosecutor who I was cooperating with to take down the police chief and the district attorney was sitting in on the conference call to call her to convince her to put a panic alarm in her apartment and to go ahead with this detective and listen to everything he has to say. She didn't go through with it. She didn't believe them. She approached me about it. When she gave me the details and of what this guy looked like, it was the same person that came to my hotel that I was told that was the killer, was the shooter, was the hitman. It was the same exact detective. That detective was sent from me to Timothy Senior District Attorney's office. And my life has been, it's just constantly being followed. I can't trust anyone in my life at all. Like, everyone's a suspect to me. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right. My instinct always, my God instinct always served me right. It always protected me. And it's messed up life, but, looking over your shoulder every day, not knowing who's who, questioning everyone that comes into your life. So, I gotta keep my nose clean. I gotta stay away from the negative people, the negative, the drugs. I've been clean now. I got 4 months clean sober right now. So, I just have I got a lot more things to take care of as far as exposing the corruption in the judicial system and the police department. So my job's not done yet. They know that. This time is coming. A lot of these judges are going to be exposed. You're going to see a lot of arrests happening. And it's crazy, how people, trust their government and they trust, that their government's good or their government wouldn't conspire to genocide or to kill them or, to do these bad things to us. But it's unfairly, it's not the case. The government is controlled by a small percentage of the population. I call them the Illuminati. I call them freebasers. I call them the elite, the 1% secret society that runs the government. So, yes, they are killing us. Yes, everything around this whole corona thing, I said it years ago. I knew this was going to happen. People, I predicted this happening 5 years ago. And 3 years ago, I saw the evil coming out of Hong Kong, China, and the Philippines. And all my feelings around this came true. And I verbalized it to my brother, my ex-girlfriend. Anyone could check this, see that I'm not crazy, I'm not making this up. But God blessed me with witnesses around me to validate what I was seeing. And future events were actually unraveling and actually happening the way I saw them in my mind, the way I saw them in my dreams. That's how I knew I was on the right path. That's how I know, God allows me to see that. And I used to think that this gift was a curse because I just saw everything in a horrible view, and I saw everything for evil, for the evil that it is, and people, and places, and the government. Everything to me was evil. Everything I see is evil. And people in the world, they're becoming more and more conditioned into the evil that's projected on society through the media, through social media, through the television, and people are hypnotized. And before I took the phone call with you, I did 4 hours of research. I wanted to fact check everything that I was going to talk to you about around the I wanted to speak about the COVID-19 and the corona because that to me right now is direly important, and people's lives are, the human race is in jeopardy. And this is real. Like, people are going to get this vaccine, and they're just like, they say things like, "Well, my arm doesn't hurt. I feel fine." Oh, and I see them encouraging other people to get the vaccine. If I showed everyone the research that I came up with and the facts that I came up with, they wouldn't take the vaccine. They wouldn't get the vaccine. And even when you show them the truth, they're so conditioned and hypnotized by the propaganda that they're in denial. They're just so brainwashed. And it's like, "No, listen, I have the proof right here. I have the evidence right here. Look. I'm like, this is all real." And they still go against it, and they believe everything that's on that television. Listen, everything in the news, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, all lies. And Donald Trump's been trying to expose that. And people say all these outrageous, outlandish things about our president, and it's not true. That he's a racist, that he created global warming. Like, the things that these people say is just, it's crazy. It's like, and I always answer them. I said, "Where are you getting this back? Where are you getting this from?" "Oh, they said it on TV. They said it on CNN." I'm like, "My man, use your own mind. Use your own mind that God gave you, and do your own research. Fact check who's telling you this. Fact check who these people are that are saying it. And I guarantee you, once you do your research, you will never look at the news again. You will never look at the media.
90 seconds.
Should be charged with treason. They should be charged with terrorism. Excuse me. They should be charged with terrorism because they're partaking in the propaganda that's filling the minds of their own people. They're reading them to death. It's reason. I don't. What's the definition of terrorism? Your exact definition of terrorism. And
60 seconds.
It's right in front of our faces. Everything. The satanic signs, Facebook, Instagram, Gmail, the Play Store. These are all Masonic symbols. These are all satanic symbols. Now, everything. I don't know. I'm going all over the place right now because I'm just. I'm fed up. I want people to know the truth. I want them to have a fighting chance. And that's why I decided to come on your show and speak out. If anyone knows anything about conspiracy, it's Christopher Loeb. I've been involved in conspiracy since I was 17. I single-handedly took down the district attorney's office.
10 seconds.
Full of corruption in the Suffolk County Police Department. I think, God, that's all by the grace of God. And, I just followed his will. I listened to what he told me which way to go. And I went, and I listened to, my prayers were answered, and I listened to him. No matter how scary, no matter how frightened it was, I still managed to have my faith would get me through it. And I'm still alive by the grace of God. But, terrorism is creating fear to push an agenda, and that's the media. Bill Gates, it says in the Bible. You still there, Diana?
Yeah, I'm here. We are almost out of time, so you can finish this and whatever you wanna share with us, important. Because we are out of time already. So, what are your last words for everybody who is watching, because they're watching us on YouTube and Facebook? And I know you couldn't join me live on this video interview, but what is your advice to these people? How we can change their mind? What we can do?
Everyone has to come. The people have the power. We have the power.
Exactly.
The government has. They condition us to believe that they're the ones in power. When your government starts to act tyrannical, we have the power to take over the government. All I can say to the people is read the Constitution, read the and see that we, in order to stop all this, we need to Use your God-given mind, that to look all this up, and we need to come together. And everyone needs to start spreading the truth like they spread the virus.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for being on my show. I'm watching and sharing your posts on Facebook and everywhere, and I'm totally agree. People need to use their brains. They need to use their best judgment. They need to do the research instead of watching TV and believing everything what the media says. And this is the only way to make a difference, and we need to exercise our freedom of speech, and we shouldn't tolerate this following around. And I know very well what you're talking about. They have these baseball guys around me also, following me everywhere, listening to my conversations on the phone, which is invasion of privacy. They don't have right to do that. They need to show you a document that they are allowed to listen to your conversations, sign it, and they need to give you a reason why they're doing that, as well as why they're following you around, which is violation of the human rights again. And it's basically they become the bad guys because they don't have right to do that. And the other thing what is triggering all of these problems we are having is believing people who have nothing else to do, just slander people without even ever having the opportunity to meet them in real life. So we need to stop doing that so we can change that. And instead of using energy to do all of these things, which are harmful things against others, we need to use this energy to unite, to improve lives, to bring love back into our lives so we can make a difference.
Amen.
So
they're not allowed to do. And people don't understand that. They're not allowed legally. They're not allowed to be listening in on our conversations, and that's their end goal.
Exactly.
New World Order, to control everyone. That's what this vaccination is. I don't care. We call me crazy. I did my research, fact check everything. There's what's called a luciferius protein that's inside the vaccine. There's nanotechnology inside that vaccine. And that's all created by Bill Gates. The Microsoft U.S. patent number for it is WO 2020-060606. It's a cryptocurrency system using body activity data. It's a framework for the global financial system. And Bill Gates is a primary financial contributor to the World Health Organization. The word bill means money owed for goods and services. Gates means a barrier. Bill Gates. There's no coincidence with everything. Corona, if you break it down, it's 6 letters, and then when you add each letter up, it comes out to 66666 is Corona. Joseph Biden, when he wanted everyone to text the number to vote for him, it was 0.330333. And 2020 divided by 6 are those exact numbers. It's the number to text Biden. The patent number for Microsoft for the cryptocurrency is 0.6060666. The main part, the particle inside the vaccine is called Lucifer. Like you can't, it's just too much.
It's too much, yeah.
Right in front of everyone's eyes,
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
I know.
And we need to wake everybody up. We need to put all the facts together and show everyone the cold stone truth and the facts. And we need to spread. And I got banned on Facebook because of my videos. I got banned on YouTube because I'm exposing the truth. They don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. Right now we are live on YouTube. So thank you so much, Christopher. Continue to do whatever you're doing. You can post on my wall. Don't worry about it. We are doing our best, but we cannot make anybody do whatever if they don't want to do something. So I wish you an amazing day. Good luck. Stay safe, please. Continue what you're doing again. And I wish everybody an amazing weekend. Thanks.
Yeah, anytime, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.